YouTube is
Complete
muted.
word.
Because right now, yeah, so right now, turn the sound off on that.
Okay,
And that way there's no double playback.
okay.
And then go back to the Zoom.
Well, now who, oh, Brooke somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
And as long as you end the Zoom, the YouTube is automatically ended and updated to the live stream.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yes.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you. I
So
can.
there, now I just need to share the agenda.
Okay. And if you want me to cover the next one, just to do it a couple of times with you, we can.
Okay. So now this is what they're seeing. Okay, let me turn this on.
Thanks for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out here and just make sure that it sounds working. I pull it up on our device.
Okay. Sorry about the technical difficulty. Okay, you let me know you want me to start. I'm ready. Okay. Is it on then? Yep. All right. I'm going to bring the Brown County School District Board of Education regular board meeting to order. It's Wednesday, March 26th, 2025. It is 2:40. We are here at the district office. We are also, are we Zooming? We're Zooming and we also are on YouTube. Live streaming. Live streaming, okay. Jenna, Melissa, Kathy, and Dave are present in the boardroom, and Laura Lee is zooming in. Mike McFalls and Matthew Kais are also present. If you are here to speak to the board, please fill out a speaker card and turn that in. Please turn your phones to silent. And we're gonna do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Jenna, will you read the mission statement?
Yes, our mission is to put each student first every day.
Thank you. I will. I do all the things. And shuffle them up. I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Kathy Williams makes the motion, Dave Bearside seconds. All those in favor of approving the agenda, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
That passes 5-0. Right, next on the agenda is public comments. Sarah Henderson is here. He'll be first.
Right, get out of the way, huh? All right, I would just like to piggyback on what Hank was talking about at the last school board meeting about the negotiated agreement that's been proposed. I know most of you know me, but for anybody that doesn't, my name's Sarah Henderson. This is my 27th year teaching at HMK at Grand County School District. As you can imagine, in those years, I've seen a lot and I've been through a lot. I've served on the negotiations committee for over 20 years, first starting out as note taker and quiet observer, eventually transitioning into the role of spokesperson and facilitator. I can tell you, when I first joined the committee, things between the association and the school board were a lot less amiable than they are today. Back in 2010, I know many of us remember this year, I was voted in as GEA president, not because I wanted the role or responsibility, but because no one else at the time would step up and do it. Anyone who knows me knows the association and all that it stands for is at the heart of all I do. I like to think of myself as an advocate for the association and for people and for this profession, which is why I come before you today. Of course, had I known what I was going to be dealing with just a few months later, I probably would have seriously reconsidered my decision to step up as GEA president. It was the GEA negotiations team who first initiated the inquiry into the missing funds that same year. It was through the mediation process that it became public that the district was misappropriating funds to the tune of $1.9 million. If you remember, our district was facing a possible collapse. Overnight, I felt my whole life caving in as the weight of the situation bore down on me. The shortfall quite literally became my life. Every single night for months, I met with business groups, parent groups, staff members, and district leaders, all working together to find solutions. Understandably enough, as time went on, the community sought out accountability for the district shortfall. Unfortunately, the blame began to shift to the school board for them not knowing budget and seeing the mistake earlier. Inevitably, as GA president, it came to the point where I, as the association, where I had to make a public stance. I went back and forth asking myself, do I back the school board? Or do I call for a vote of no confidence and publicly ask the board members to step down? Because that's what I was being pressured to do. What do the members want? What is right for our kids and their education? This was not a decision that I took lightly. As a negotiations team, we have always believed in advocating for what's best for the district as a whole, not what's best for our own self-interests. So in the end, I chose to publicly support the school board. I wrote a heartfelt letter to the editor of Times, the Times Independent, urging all of us to move forward in finding solutions rather than focusing on casting blame. Although I never want to go through something like that again, that was the defining moment that changed our working relationship as an association and with the school board. It seems now that you find yourselves in a similar situation. Do you support your staff and their right to have a voice into their working conditions and salaries, or do you not? Are you willing to risk the relationship we have all worked so hard to build and maintain to be crippled by a legislature who doesn't value our profession? Or will you stand side by side with us and say, no, HB 267 is not right, and we value the negotiation process? And don't forget, there is a chance that that bill will be repealed. Are you as a board prepared for what that will mean if you don't sign the agreement? Where will that leave you in the eyes of your staff of the school district? Of course, ultimately, it will be up to the 5 of you to discuss and decide the answers to these questions. But for me, the answer is clear. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Shelley Cook.
Hi, I'm just here to just give you a little background. I think my voice needs to be heard just for the day and so on. So anyways, background is I worked 28 years with people with disabilities, and I worked in the general education for 9 years. And I earned my master's degree in severe special education in 2011 and have worked with the severe ed population at HMK for the last decade. I enjoyed working with this population. Some would say that I have unique tolerance to work with this population. I believe it's due to my love for them. They teach me how to be more empathetic, have empathy, caring, loving, and patient. And that I can do uncomfortable things like today, stand out and be different. Overall, 17% of the public school population, from 3 to 21, receive special education services. Specific number, 7.5 million students receive these services. Increase, this represents an increase of 13% a decade earlier. Common disabilities are a specific learning disability, speech or language impairment, and autism spectrum disorder, which I deal a lot with. Speech or language impairment is 19%, which all my children serve under that. And autism disorder is 12%. And so state variation, the percentage of students receiving special education services across state varies. I have concerns about how we are maximizing this educational opportunity for this population. As you may or may not know, this population in many schools districts can be treated as a byproduct of education. As you may know, laws are in place to protect this population, And as a school district, I worry that we are setting ourselves up for lawsuits. As board members, you may know a little about the population and what the state requires us to do appropriately to serve this population. Please bear with me. I'm gonna ask two questions from you, but as I do that, I want you to be able to not use your words. Okay. So the question is, I'm gonna ask is, what is Grant County School District doing to ensure that students with special needs have access to the curriculum, peer relationships, and meaningful inclusion? And the other one is, what is the plan for teaching teachers, staff, and peers how to accept students with special needs? Okay. Do you have an answer that you guys can tell me without speaking? It's kind of hard. It is hard. And a lot of times you have to use different tactics. So that's my kids. That's who I serve, are those kids who cannot speak like that. And if they do, I have a limited, I have some that do speak, but they have a very limited vocabulary or pronunciation. So it's very hard. So with that, I manage 18 students. I have 6 paras and now I'm down to 4, along with 11 classroom teachers, exploratory, recess and lunchroom duty personnel, and 14 parents. That's what I have to deal with, which is awesome. There's some great teachers out there. There's great staff. There's great parents. I teach all my students academics, that are personalized to each student and give them access to their gen ed curriculum, functional skills in my room and in their gen ed room and in all the areas. That's the functional skills of school. Behavior goals also in my room, in the gen ed room, and everywhere in the school setting. Those are what I teach. I try to attend PLCs in the last 10 years. You can count on my fingers how many I can be able to leave my room to go and sit in. I have to find time to collaborate with gen ed teachers. I have to write IEPs and any other paperwork that involves the students, create a curriculum for non-speakers to learn and communicate what they learn, and a lot of prep and brain power to observe and to detect how each child is learning. So I have to do all that with my students. Create a classroom environment that change monthly and even daily to the needs. Today I had to make my room even smaller for a student. And my room changes constantly. The environment. Teaching, I have to teach paras about safety of the children, the behavior management in the school environment and each setting. Teach how to teach each child, collaborate what they have learned and ways to implement their teachings. I have to, and any change to the schedule, whether it be school-wide or classroom, I have to reorganize, realign, and redo. We begin our day at 7:30. I have a parent that gets on the bus. I have to have breakfast ready by 8 a.m. And then I have others that trickle in at a different time. So we're all over the place, help serving these kids. So those are for the first question of what are we doing as a district to ensure the students with special needs have access to the curriculum, peer relations, and meaningful inclusion. I will fight for my students are not segregated. That's what I do not ever want. And I want them to have access. So as a board, let's think about what are we doing? How are we doing it? And then the other one was, how are we going to teach teachers, staff, and peers how to accept students with special needs? The nice thing is the state has a meaningful inclusion that they do. And it would be nice if we could bring that down. And usually the people who go to these meaningful inclusions are us special ed teachers. And that's not really, we already know that we want to set up a meaningful inclusion in the classroom, but we also need our regular ed teachers. We need even staff to be there around so they can see how all these students that are Grand County students are part of one society, a part of the whole group. They're not just singled out. what I see is tremendous growth when my students are with their peers. That's where I get to teach, and I get to teach alongside, and it's wonderful. I don't have to create it, it happens, and so I get to teach on the spot. I get to teach, as my one son says, because he has a child with disabilities, the plain children, along with the unique and fun children. So that's my biggest bang for buck, and I've seen growth, and parents can tell you there's great growth. When teachers don't, I have teachers who will look at my child, who will include my children. And they're not just mine, they're ours. They'll include them, they're part of the team, they're part of the group, they'll come up with stuff, they collaborate with me. And I have some teachers that just smile at them as they walk in and out. And so I need the children to be seen. I need them to be relevant, not irrelevant or obstacles. And that's one thing I want to teach to the staff. And when the student is in with their regular peers, when they're not actually in, with their regular peers, they're missing out on a great opportunity to learn, as I did, learn how to be more empathetic, learn how to adjust, and then be uncomfortable when a kid tells you no or pushes you away. It's really embarrassing, it's really hard. So those are some things that we get to teach these kids, and they get to grow and they get to learn. And as life goes on, you can ask anybody who has a child or a sibling with a disability that the empathy that they have, the grit that they have for having a sibling or a child is you can't teach that. It is a beautiful thing. Our unique children, I have 14 of them considered non-speakers. 2 of the 4 speakers are not able to express themselves in complete sentences, which is great. Some are very echolalic, and other 2 are very limited in their language, and then we use repetitive sentences. My 18, and they are growing in numbers, if they're not getting less. They can and will become successful members of this community. I know these kids have a life. Sometimes the parents think that, I have one parent wishes that child can go with them when they die. I already know that. I have 2 grandchildren that like this. I have a sister. I have lots of family members and other friends. No, and I've worked with people in their home. They can be a part of society. They can have a job. They're there. They can get married. My sister got married, has 3 children and 5 grandkids. Never would have thought. Never would have thought. Okay. People think, no, they can't. They can. And I want to be able to give them that opportunity. We are unique here in Grand County. We don't have other places for them to go, or they can ship them off and learn and have all the other help related services. We're here. It's just us. And I need our town to see that these guys can be part of society. They can grow with their peers and with everybody else, that they're wonderful. We see the kids on the street. I've taught them. They've been in my class in 2nd grade. They've also been in my room. They make me smile. I love watching them work. And that is where I would like to see our kids go. So with that, I have 18 students. And it's me. 6 pairs, down to 4. Very hard. I can't do it. I have this, and I'm going to show you this. This was surgery that happened to me because last year I clenched because it was so stressful. I clenched and I had less kids. I clenched and I clenched at night and I broke my tooth. And then I had an abscess. It was life-threatening. I had to get in my car and drive. It's in the hospital for 4 days. All because I can't do it. I can't do it alone. When I jumped out, it was hard. I had to jump out because I knew what was ahead. I jumped out of that, taught 1st grade. My heart is here. I got my master's in this program. I love these kids. And while I'm in here teaching in the gen ed, I'm thinking of how am I teaching my kiddos? And I jumped back in with my husband saying, if you go in, you can't complain. I've never been here before in this situation. I'm here because I love these students. I can't, I'm 54. I can't keep going on the way I'm at, where I'm at, with my body, with everything else. And it's not sustainable unless we do something.
Thank you, Shelley. All right. Any other public comments? All right, thank you. Next on our agenda is executive session, so we're gonna go into executive session, so we'll excuse you guys and then it'll probably be about max, probably 10 minutes. So, you're welcome, just hang outside. There's a table. Nice weather, get some vitamin D. So I will. Okay. Sorry for the trouble. Thank you for your. So, we're gonna talk about negotiations. So, I'll accept a motion to go into executive session to talk about, negotiations.
I make a motion to go into executive session to talk about negotiation.
For a second,
Second.
Jenna Woodbury, makes a motion to go into executive session to talk about negotiations. Dave Bearscheid seconds that. We will do a roll call vote. I'll start with Jenna.
Anything.
Melissa, yes.
Kathy, yes.
Dave, yes.
Laura Lee, yes.
All right, that passes 5-0. We will turn off the recorder. And then Laura Lee, can we call, it might be easier if we call her. Right? We have to call you, Laura Lee.
Okay,
So,
gotcha.
so
So
when you turn off this.
you'll be turning this off, right? You'll turn the Zoom
Yeah,
off.
we'll turn this
Okay.
off, or, well, this will be on, but just muted.
Okay. Hello. I can hear you. Uh, I'm on the phone. Yes, I'll mute myself. I'm gonna hang up. Yeah, I should be in. Okay, all right, bye.
Video back on.
Um,
And Laura Lee, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yep.
awesome. Are we
Wow.
back in open?
As soon as you go back in the open.
Well, you turned on the recorder. Okay.
I think we're back in.
We are back in open. Okay, we are back in open session. It is 3:17. We are here at the district office Wednesday, March 26, 2025. And again, just to be clear, will you make a note that Laura Lee was by phone? Did you make in your executive?
Not virtual, but I could.
Okay, well, when we do those affidavit things, that's. Again, and Laura Lee is, on Zoom. Or here. Okay. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. And what we have on there are the February 6th, February 12th, and February 19th, 2025 regular board meeting minutes, board work session minutes, regular board meeting minutes. We have the March personnel list. We have February's detailed check register, expenditure report, and revenue report. We have, all these are added. We have out-of-state travel for baseball. They're going to Colorado. Out-of-state travel for the business administrator. The out-of-state travel for DECA. And the out-of-state travel for secondary principals.
Yeah.
We're welcome to, we can pull out any of those if you don't feel comfortable, or we can approve them all if you want to do, a quick. I'll accept a couple quick, if anybody has any questions about,
How about I make a motion to approve
well,
all those listed and we can discuss.
Okay.
Seconds.
their second?
Second.
Dave Bearshade makes a motion, Kathy Williams seconds to approve, that was your motion?
Yeah.
To approve the consent agenda. Any discussion?
I do.
Okay, yeah,
You go ahead.
Well, I'm looking at the DECA request. And I don't think it's been signed, I don't think by the principal. So I would assume it needs to be signed by the principal.
Oh,
And we can get that signature if it is not signed by the principal. I do know that I've spoken with Becca
Okay,
extensively about that trip and some of the
Okay.
challenges, so that she's aware of it.
okay, it's probably just.
Just didn't sign.
Okay,
But we
so
can
just wanna.
make sure that gets taken care of.
And Corey Weston might send it to me. as well.
The DECA?
Mhm.
Oh, Kari Taylor, right, yeah. I'm looking at
yeah, we need to
right
make
now.
sure
Yeah.
that gets
Carrying,
signed
Yeah.
also by Matt. I think if you sign these before they get on our agenda so that we know that you've gone through
yeah.
the questions of, you know,
Mhm.
liability,
I'll make a note.
finance.
And we have on what you have. Presented in front of you.
I have looked at all of.
You've looked at all those?
We've talked about any of the hurdles with finance or like risk and things of that nature for DECA going out of state.
Okay,
Eventually, someday, when we're really banging on all cylinders, I'd like to see all athletics trips approved just once or twice a year. We should know our schedule in early fall and then do it again in January and may not come up again.
who is going to the DECA? This is just people who qualified.
I think we have 2 students and a advisor.
Okay.
And they are, we are piggybacking off of
Weaver?
the Weaver.
Weaver School District is.
We will get to utilize some of their transportation.
And it's being paid for by
CT, well, their fund, yeah, CT funds.
their CT
Yes.
funds are paying, okay, so they don't have to
To my
fundraise for it,
knowledge, they haven't fundraised,
okay,
but that's just to my knowledge.
okay. This says DECA is the funding source, so
That's pretty
that's the club account to me.
fun.
And that means that they have that
Club
much.
money? Wow. We have a lot of club money.
Well, club money might not be the correct term, but.
CTE.
Probably
CTE money.
CTS, organization funding.
It's a separate funding than the, okay.
When is baseball playing for? They're
Um,
trying to get a non-region tournament for, right?
And that's fairly common for schools in this area to go into Colorado, Arizona.
It just says owed for 3 years now, like, what does that mean?
Scheduled baseball games owed for 3 years now, purpose of the travel.
Maybe.
Oh.
Told them we would do it.
They probably came over here and played, and so now we owe a game or that, and so it's been on the books. As a debt, liability.
One of those unwritten agreements.
We just want to keep our word.
Yeah, answer.
Where is Bayfield, Colorado?
Just outside,
Durango.
just outside of Durango.
Oh,
Somewhere over there.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
yes.
Your, never mind. Answered my own question.
Okay, any more discussion?
Mhm.
Did the audit committee meet? Okay,
So I think,
all right.
I had a big work session thing. Normally we meet before.
Oh, yeah, oh,
And it was-
yeah.
Had a big retreat.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna call for the question. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Laura Lee, did I hear you?
Yes, yep,
Okay, that passes 5-0. Next is information items. So we'll start with the school land trust amendment. I'm gonna move the dual immersion, language immersion for first grade to the end. Because there's some action items we need to get through. But Michelle Pearl is here.
Yep.
For trust lands amendment. Will you just go through what you're asking us to approve?
Yeah, so sometime, I don't know, was it February? The trust lands sent us a notification that we had an excessive rollover. That's commonly, we don't usually find out how bad our rollover is until January. And so we got notification that there was an excessive rollover, requiring an amendment to explain what you will do with those funds. So anytime you submit an amendment to change your plan, they can look at any of those steps again. And even if they've been approved, they can unapprove them. So there's 2 changes to this. The first is number 9, which is the amendment that I made, which they allow for what they call a backup plan. So this is our backup plan on the school committee council to catch any remaining funds before we're penalized for having too much rollover, because we're only allowed a 10% rollover. And then at the same time, they said number 8 no longer fits the requirements for a step where monies can be appropriated. And so we had to take that amount and put it into professional development. So in the same category or same goal, no changes were made to the other 2 goals or their steps, just this goal. And we added 8. Well, we took away 8, added those funds to the professional development that you'll see above. And then number 9 to catch any remaining funds.
This would, okay, the audit,
Got it?
okay,
Yeah.
You met their criteria.
Yes, so what happens is I'll do whatever they ask me to do. I submitted this new step, which is now actually number 8. And then they'll approve it, and then they expect the school board to then approve it.
Mhm.
So 8 doesn't exist anymore.
8 does not exist.
So are we proving, should that just be Xed out?
Yeah, I can exit out either way. Just know that 8 was taken out. Those funds were moved to the professional development line, and then number 9 is the backup
The
plan.
catch up.
Yes,
And you don't have to have an amount on
I
that.
don't, because, and that they send you this really nice required training video when you mess up, I guess. And so then, that was one of the suggestions, was to create the backup plan and so I did.
So there was $7,500 in number 8,
Yeah,
and there was whatever the carryover was,
yes.
and that's all going into professional development.
Yes.
That's $75 plus the
Yes.
carryover.
And so professional development, paid collaboration days, so this allows teachers to also have paid days in the summer to work on team building, pacing guides, curriculum development, whatever they need to do.
Okay,
But it all just has to be spent by June 30th.
sure.
Everything but the 10%.
Right, you can only have 10%, so,
Yes.
and we had more than 10%, so.
Yes, we
we're
had
taking-
about 25%.
So you, wow, so that's a lot.
Uh-huh.
Why did that not get spent?
I think there was there's a piece of the, last year, so the plan that I was working off of was the previous principal's plan.
Mhm,
And there was a piece of that plan that included, whenever you include like salaries, especially teacher salaries,
mhm,
sometimes it gets a little difficult to make sure that's getting pulled out of the right place. And
mhm.
because those funds don't usually close until the school year closes,
Mhm.
you don't, and my school community council doesn't meet after May,
Mhm.
right? You don't always know that there's remaining funds
Mhm.
until it's too late.
Mhm.
And so in this case, I believe that was what happened. There was some personnel funds attached
Okay.
to the plan that didn't actually. Didn't know. So this year, we've been really vigilant about what, like, this is where
Right.
everything is
And,
going.
and the funds need to come from this account, so obviously the
Yes.
teachers were probably paid, but probably out of different. I don't know.
It's possible. Cause it was like a very short portion of their salary,
Yeah, right.
probably.
Right,
Yeah.
You know what position that was?
I feel like it was a 4th grade teacher. There was like a small chunk of that teacher's salary that was appropriated from school committee council for some reason, which is really weird. It's kind of rare that would happen. And so
Mhm.
my assumption is that didn't get caught.
Mhm.
But I'm making assumptions. I don't know
Right.
exactly how it played out, but we do know that it kind of surprised us.
Yeah.
In June, because we were being really vigilant, because so the year before, it had also had an excessive rollover, but they don't make you do anything about the excessive rollover unless it's been 2 years in a row.
Wow.
Yes, and so it happened to be that first year that I was working off that plan, that there was an excessive rollover too, so and then they're like, yeah, you're in trouble now. So, but if we do it again this year, they will actually take that remaining amount of money and they reward other school districts for not doing that, and by giving them like a bonus from you.
Mhm. So,
Yeah, so we don't want to do that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not putting it toward the salaries.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's okay if it's like a,
Like a
like an
stipend?
hourly or a stipend.
Uh-huh,
Like hourlies and stipends are a little more easy to track
Right.
that way.
right,
It's difficult when it's like,
part of the salary.
yes, when it, or like a portion of it is,
Mhm.
that's a much harder thing, I
Yeah.
think, to track.
Any other questions? All right, thank you. We're gonna move to action items. Okay, time to go. All right. All right, so first on action items are to post columns in columns 4 and 5 for public comment, DABN, DBBN, DCAN, or DLBN, DAIN, DGN, DHAN, and DLAN. The board reviewed and had the second reading of these policies last week. And now we have the opportunity to vote to approve the posting. There is a recommended motion.
Make a motion to approve the posting. Do you want me to read them all?
Sure.
Okay, I will make a motion to approve the posting of policies DABN, DBBN, DCAN, DLBN, DAIN, DGN, DHAN, and DLAN on the district website for public comment.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
You're so quiet, no one hears you. I hear you. Kathy Williams makes the motion. Jenna Woodbury seconds to post the 4 and 5 policies, negotiated policies on the district website for public comment. Any discussion on those? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Lorley?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Next would be, this year, the policy DGN Exhibit 1 was removed on a state level. The board may now vote to have that exhibit posted to the district website for removal. There is a recommended motion there as well.
I move to approve to post policy exhibit DGN exhibit 1 on the district website to public comment to be removed. For public comment,
I'll
to be
second.
removed from Grand County School District policy.
Jenna Woodbury made the motion. Dave Beerscheid seconds to post exhibit DGN Exhibit 1 on the district website to public comment to be removed. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's 5-0. Next is last week, the board was presented with the board budget revision for fiscal year 24-25. We now have the opportunity to approve the revision.
One motion.
Mhm.
I would move to approve the fiscal year 2024-25 revised budget as presented earlier.
Is there a second?
Fiscal, no,
What did I say, fiscal?
You said physical.
Oh, fiscal.
Fiscal.
I apologize. I didn't say that.
The physical fiscal budget.
I do know what fiscal is. I'm very physically physical.
Is there a second?
I second.
All right, Dave Beerscheid makes the motion. Jenna Woodbury seconds to approve the fiscal year 24-25 revised budget as presented. Did you say that? No, you said that.
I just said it's presented.
As presented. Any comments? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Lorley?
Hello.
Lorley?
Oh, you can't hear me? Yes,
No.
aye.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Sorry,
That
sorry.
passes 5-0, that's okay.
Yes. Sorry.
Okay, next. The board previously reviewed policies FAB, FDAC, and FDF. Those policies have been posted on the district website for public comment. We have not received any public comments regarding the policy, and we now may approve the policies. So FAB is transgender studies, FDAC is medical treatment, and FDF is positive behavior plans.
And transgender students, right? Not,
Oh, did I say
Studies.
studies?
okay, I just want to make sure I didn't
Sorry.
miss something. Okay, no problem. Okay.
Their motion,
I'll move to approve the policies FAB, FDAC, and FDF. Move to approve them.
their second.
I second.
Kathy Williams makes a motion, Laura Lee Green, seconds to approve policies FAB, FDAC, and FDF. Any discussion?
I have a question about,
Yeah.
FDF. Just who our positive people are, like our positive behavior specialists for each school.
Who are they?
Do they?
Is this a new policy? No, it's not. It's modified. It's modified. So do we have a positive behavior specialist at each school?
I mean, our skills program are our two behavior aides. That is a big portion of what they do under the direction of Libby, our Dina students. They do quite a bit of work in that positive behavior reinforcement.
The specialist shall receive an additional stipend from funds provided by the State Board of Education. Matt and Mike, can you report back next month on who those positive special behavior specialists are, and if they're receiving, and then Matt receiving the additional stipends for funds provided by SB. You know where that? Yeah,
I don't at this time.
but you,
Well, we can give it.
next month, we should report back.
Yep.
Thank you. And then I guess it would be, Nishay, will you put on your, the agenda planning of like, just so that we remember, either you're gonna put it in your reports or we'll have a specific.
Board meeting though, you said,
The agenda,
but you want it in the board meeting.
Well,
not
just-
the work session.
just put it on our list of
Okay.
things to talk about. And then we'll, so that we can circle back. DF. And your question doesn't have anything to do with, really approving it, since it's code, it's just additional, clarifying. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving,
I was just gonna point out that this is part of the state's health curriculum.
all those, in favor of approving the policies FAB, FDAC, and FDF, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I heard it.
I heard. That passes 5-0. Waiting. Okay, next, policy FDACG has been included as a part of the updated FDAC policy, which is previously approved. So this makes current FDACF policy redundant. So, we are approving to remove FDACF, which is student self-application of sunscreen from Grand County School District.
I would move to approve to remove policy FDACF, student self-application of sunscreen from the Grand County School District policy.
There a second?
Second.
Dave Beershine makes the motion, Kathy Williams seconds to approve to remove policy FDACF. Student self-application of sunscreen from Grand County School District policy. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I didn't hear you, Laura Lee.
I
Did you hear
didn't
me?
either.
Aye.
So.
Oh,
All
sorry.
right, 5-0. All right, next is land trust amendments were presented from HMK this afternoon. You may now choose to approve those amendments.
I make a motion to approve the land trust amendments presented earlier this afternoon.
There's a second.
Second.
Jenna Woodbury makes a motion, Kathy Williams seconds to move to approve the land trust amendments presented earlier this afternoon. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 That passes 5-0. All right, next, we have action item as per executive session. The board can take action on that identified.
Want me to read it?
Yes.
Okay. I propose that the Graham County School District provide a one-time compensation adjustment to all contracted employees working greater than 15 hours per week and hired prior to January 10th, 2025, and still actively employed as of March 21, 2025. The amount should be equal to 2.5% of their contracted annual salary, excluding any extra assignments, plus a $750 fixed amount. The $750 fixed amount will not be prorated based on the full-time equivalency of the employee. For all contracted employees and Beacon employees hired after January 10, 2025, but hired prior to March 1st, 2025, and still working as of March 21, 2025, and regular part-time employees averaging less than 15 hours per week, not including substitutes, there will be a $500 one-time compensation adjustment provided. This compensation adjustment does not apply to coaches, any extra payroll situations, extended days, extracurricular payroll activities, substitutes, or other miscellaneous payrolls. This compensation adjustment is to be paid on or about March 27, 2025.
I'll second what Kathy said.
You need
And
to
I won't
repeat
repeat
it. You need to repeat it. Kathy Williams makes the motion. Dave Berscheid seconds, to approve a one-time compensation adjustment. Basic, and I'm summarizing 2.5% on the contract annual salary and plus a $750 fixed amount. Any discussion?
Yeah, cool.
This, I just want to, for transparency, where this money, is coming from.
So this is coming from our fund balance that we discussed and have used in the past. And this is a tool to kind of be fiscally conservative in our budgeting and ensuring that we're running sound. And then also putting everything we can into employee compensation. So this is the tool, the mechanism that the board's using to manage that fund balance properly and also increase compensation to employees. Did that
And,
answer your question?
yep, and then, with the budget revision that we approved moments ago, that was, in that budget review, that movement of the money from the fund balance up into salaries.
Correct.
All right. Any other discussion, questions? All right, all those in favor of approving a Grant County School District one-time compensation adjustment to all contracted employees working greater than 15 hours, with all the stipulations that Kathy read. Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Lorley?
Aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. Usually we do have a letter that goes out. I think, actually, I did that in the past. I think I wrote that email, didn't I?
Yep.
I will look, I'm not changed it. I hope changed it.
We collaborated on it last time, so if you need anything from me, I think I still have to think about it. You can just do whatever you want.
Okay. Work on it tonight. Or the,
Melissa,
yeah,
when did you think of sending that letter out?
it'll probably go out in the morning.
I would recommend at the high school going out sometime after 8:30.
AM?
Yeah.
Usually I have to do it before that because Krista gets all the phone calls starting about 5:45 of people going, hey, why is there money in my
I'm just
account?
hearing a rumor there's gonna be a lockdown.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
on that,
After, you want it after 8:30?
I'm just saying it could get complicated. I let you know, do what you think works best.
also, just to clarify for the board, that language says on or about, and that is on or about. This is outside of our normal schedule, things we do, so
Oh, that's true.
we're.
It's just not going the same time as regular
Yeah,
payroll.
we are hoping to do this as quickly as possible, but it could be on or about tomorrow or the next day at the very latest,
Okay,
depending on how ACH travels through banks.
okay.
Is this week normal payday?
No,
No.
Yeah, that's usually what happens is that
so
everybody goes, why is that so weird?
Because it's their normal paycheck, right?
Yeah, that's why they get phone calls.
But there's,
Okay. Okay. I have follow-up questions for Hank, but but it's not on the agenda. Okay. We will go to staff community reports. These are, let's see, we have mine here. The clinical safety. Probably met.
clinical safety did meet.
Okay, do you want to make a quick report on that?
Yeah, I don't have the agenda for looking from me.
Okay.
We talked, we did our normal debriefs on a couple of incidents that took place. We spent a significant amount of time with Shane was talking about some of the technology and radio difficulties that we face, that we learn about as we do these drills. We had Carrie from the charter school talk about their piloting using a substitute iPad that would give the substitute access to duress and how that's going and what that might look like for us. It was actually about an hour and a half. It was really good conversation. We had an update from school resource officer and the school security chief. And just chugging along.
Discipline? Dave, they have met,
No,
DTL. Evaluation. They met, but I'm gonna ask this question. We're still working on, looking at stakeholder feedback. Those probably went out to, students, but not parents yet. You know, Michelle?
I sent it to my school community council,
But not, was that a test run for students?
Yes.
Okay.
so, but because I didn't create the board, I didn't get the feedback.
And I don't think you were at evaluation last.
No.
time. I think you missed it. Oh, yeah, you were. Were you there too?
Yeah, I was
Lisa?
there.
You remember,
We
There's nothing
talked about
Sta-
solidifying the student
student one?
ones.
And but it hasn't gone out. I thought we had a date.
K2 has not,
Okay,
the upper grades.
We told teachers that if you have quarter-based classes,
the high
you
school.
need to do them with your students before the end of the quarter.
okay,
If you have semester-based classes sometime in April, I can't remember the date.
okay. Okay. And I think since that new law, do we have to say, put that out, give permission to,
You mean the
Ask-
one with surveys?
yeah,
No, I intentionally asked my higher ups and they said it doesn't.
okay. Thank you. Okay. Facilities,
to become.
Absolutely.
We have time.
Okay.
And I was at the finance and audit committee. I don't know what Kathy is there for.
What exactly would we call this meeting?
we didn't have a meeting.
Well, I'm going, where were you? You weren't even here for the meeting.
We're here for the regular meeting.
Anyway, no, we didn't have a meeting.
okay. Negotiations, we're meeting Monday. Prevention, attached are the minutes. I heard the Corey Jewel Jensen presentation was pretty, like very hard, like it was a really intense presentation. But did not go to that.
The big thing to note about the prevention group is that Beth Wright has been hired as the prevention coordinator for Four Corners. She's taken up for Carrie Valdez. She's been doing prevention adjacent work here in Moab with the health department for years. And she's going to be taking over the effort to grow and maintain communities that care full time. So instead of our library director doing that as an additional 15-20 hours a week, she'll be doing and leading that group. And we will talk with her as she gets more training about how to use some of this time to forward those goals with this group so that we are creating collective county-wide prevention goals in conjunction with school district goals. So that we've got a collective what we want to address in terms of building protective factors and reducing risk factors in Moab.
And I think just to point out some notable dates, March 28th, which is a Friday, are the career fair at the high school. And then on April 4th is Reality Town. Board members are welcome to go to those.
You come by a house for you.
Are you selling a house?
I sell houses, advertising.
Alright.
That should be fun.
At Reality Town.
At reality.
Um,
Well, I'm not selling
Not
any
at the
houses
career.
in town, but
And then they have to pay their
I
property
sell
tax.
about 50 of them there. So however many.
This weekend, if you'd like to support the New American Club, they're selling, well, they're providing lunch for a suggested donation. From a donation of food from Sea Haven, and we'll be selling Navajo tacos at their event, their Indigenous Resource Fair for the Indigenous community on Saturday at the Grand Center. All that.
This Saturday.
Yes, another prevention based event. I don't know why it's not on there, but it should be on there. So that's this Saturday.
Okay.
Is there a time for that at the Grand Center?
11 to 2.
11 to 3.
Okay.
Oh, 3.
Thank you.
All right. Any questions? For Jeremy?
Is the career fair all day?
The career fair is from, I think, 9 until noon.
It's a half day. It's
Noon 30 maybe.
it's wellness day, so they get out early.
They get out early. I think it's
12:40,
until noon.
12:20. The high school gets out at 12:20.
But do all the kids go, or is it?
There's a chunk of classrooms that go, the middle school groups will go. I think that, yeah, Ashley's worked it out where several subjects will go for their whole day.
Oh,
that day. And I think it's a mix between upperclassmen and lower upperclassmen this year.
Not really prevention, but there's tonight there's it's prevention. It's zero fatalities presentation at the high school. That now any kid who wants to get their driver's permit license has to take this. I haven't seen it anywhere. I haven't seen it on Facebook or anywhere.
We got emails.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see the email.
Mhm.
I saw it on somewhere else.
High school, I know. It's been in the announcements and they were supposed to email.
Well, if
I
you
got
saw
one,
it,
yeah.
okay, I just didn't see it. But that's tonight at 6 o'clock. For all the people out there listening, that have 15 years olds. Maturation. No,
Who's the district person? Who's the person in charge of maturation?
I think Libby.
Libby?
Business administrator report.
Okay. So we are in the middle of the insurance roofing claim over at the elementary school. If you've been over there, you've probably heard them. Our bid for the HMK preschool and outside work was going to close tomorrow. It came to my attention that there was an omission on some light fixtures. It's a pretty material change. So we're going to be issuing an addendum and extending that bid period until Tuesday. And then we will complete that, get the bid package, and hopefully be able to bring that to you on schedule for the 23rd. We have board meeting in April. Yeah, that's where we're at on that.
So we're approving a bid, but I guess we don't approve the plans. I mean, the plans are what they are, what they are. I mean, we really haven't seen as a board the
Architectural plans?
no, just, yeah,
So we approved that to go out to bid in a board meeting,
okay,
and that's what went out.
and that,
Mhm.
okay, which
And so-
was
And so-
probably one,
And so we'll see where that comes in. You know, last time when we did just the outside work, there was a huge discrepancy, if you remember. It was
Yeah.
a couple $1 million difference. So our intention was that we would put that, combine those and get maybe a better economy of scale, more bidders interested in that. We did have a pre-bid conference and walked the site and looking at that, and we had a fair amount of interest. So I'm hoping that we get and there were some people who had emailed and said they're interested but couldn't make the pre-bid conference. That being said, I really hesitant to even estimate or ballpark what that cost is like. And as you can imagine, even like with our current roof replacement that is being paid for by insurance, those prices on materials have gone volatile, as you can imagine, just because of what's going on in the economy and things of that nature. So it's really hard to kind of guess what we're coming in at. And then the time frame on that's going to be, could be anywhere from 90 to 150 days, depending on what the contractors tell us.
start date or completion date? Completion. time
Completion.
date.
So it is targeted right now. If we award the contract in our April 23rd meeting, that would give the contractor time to get all their submittals in and start staging so that they could start. I think it's May 27th, is it Tuesday after Memorial Day? So school will be out and then they would start, hopefully be staged and ready to rock and roll and have at the very minimum. We want to have as much done as we can without students in the building. The very worst case scenario, we're still finishing the inside in October. And then so we could start the school year with the preschool up at the Sunwall and then after October be going down there. Again, I'm interested to see, it's a pretty big scope when you look at both, the remodel is probably the easiest part of it, because we're not doing anything structural. But outside, there's a lot of work that's coming into play. I don't know what that specific time frame is going to be. You guys are aware from our work session that we talked about. We've been focusing on program and position priorities for the board. I've got my student teacher ratio in a draft form. We get the numbers a little tighter before I bring that to the board.
Are we posting, so, I guess the question about openings and ratios and where we're at, I feel like we're kind of, we're getting close to, being,
So yes, we are close and ideally I would love to have a student teacher ratio already in place.
Yeah.
We haven't had that in place in years
but
past.
right now we have one opening elementary teacher that we've posted.
Mhm,
We have 3 middle school positions that we've posted
correct. And a special education.
and a special education teacher we posted
position, and a handful of classifieds that are still having.
and they're posted.
Yes.
Okay, so they're posted. That's,
Yeah, working on that, going through with the team. looking at where we can create our goal, and I've said this in the past, is to create a higher level of coherence and understanding, not just redundancy, but kind of helping payroll and accounts payable, accounts receivable, and our planning system to not just know the numbers, but know what those numbers are. I'm working through that. I'm scrambled right now. I should have written something down, but it's been super busy.
When does the roof start?
The roofing has started at
It
HMK,
has started, yeah.
and they will transition over to the
Is that-
TSAT.
Do you have an end date for the roof?
I would have to go back and look at the contract. I want to say it also. Not off the top of my head. There is an end date in the contract. With all the stipulations, but I don't remember.
On schedule?
Yes. We executed a couple of things that we talked about in the past with Onward, with Diligent Community, which is going to make board meetings so much better. And utilizing our pool we've been paying for and not utilizing a partial part of Frontline, which is one of the two national recruiting softwares for public education. I don't know, it's not software, website. We are utilizing what we have been paying for now, and we're gonna pick up the applicant tracking and really bring our application process, our reference checks, our screenings into the 22nd century, which would be fantastic. Yeah. Other than that, just just to continue from work session. We looked at 18 or 19 programs and priorities. Some of those naturally are filtering, up or down, depending. There's going to be a handful that are probably no doubters. The board will want to go down that direction. Once we have an idea of that, the remaining, the board is really going to have to pick and choose their priorities. On what they want to do, so just keep that in mind.
Do you think that will start in earnest in April?
Yes, it is. We'll have numbers, and we'll have some more discussion for that work session about where you want to, what you want to prioritize. Any questions?
Any questions? Laura Lee, questions?
No questions for me.
Oh, one last, sorry.
Yeah.
Superintendent received a letter from, it's Utah Dedicated Open Government, I can't remember. With some confusion that we are the Grand County Education Foundation that is actually functioning right now, because it has our name. That is not us. We are not affiliated with them. We cannot force them to go to open meetings or follow any of that. So that's been reported to them. I am in the process of activating our Grand County School District Education Foundation that was started back in, I think it was registered with the Commerce in 2001. I don't know that we.
2001?
21, I'm
Oh, I
sorry.
was like, whoa.
I don't know that we ever got complete clarity on roles. Obviously what the mission would be is Grand County School District interests. So we have paralegals with our legal counsel looking at where we left off and what we need to do to pick up and get that established so that we as a district have a 501(c) number that we can utilize for grant applications and other things. We might have to get creative about the name when we register with the Commerce Department. We did have it, but it dissolved because of inaction about a year ago now, I think. So it kind of just got stopped, but that's something we're actively working on.
Grand County School District Education Foundation is what it was called, and can be called. Can we use the same name?
That's where I'm.
Yeah, this is already,
I don't know how. I don't know how.
somebody else has it.
They meet over in Dave's building.
No, it's a grand,
That's Grand Education
Education
Foundation.
Foundation.
That's different.
Yeah, we gotta add the county.
you got a great,
But a Grand County.
It's Grand County Education.
yeah, we can
The
add the
ones
school
that-
district.
The one that
Yeah,
like Connie's on and you, yeah,
We are going to.
that's Grand County Education Foundation.
Yes.
Okay,
So we would.
Grand County School District Education Foundation.
It'll also just be Grant County School District Foundation, too, and it'll be less.
Yeah,
Good point. School and education is kind of redundant.
anyways, just an update on that.
Community report, community coordinator report is attached. It has perfect questions in the prevention. Superintendent report. Do you have anything?
Yeah, I submitted a hard copy last time, so.
And he's
you know,
making,
in essence of time,
weekly.
nothing new. We'll keep you all posted on my Friday updates.
I have two quick things. If anybody wants to help out with Reality Town, I have a few spots still needed. For community coordinator report. Second thing is just got a date scheduled for our Native American Foundation, our Native American of the Year Excellence Celebration. And that's on May 1st. So that's when the side, sorry.
Where will that be?
It'll be at the middle school again. And we'll do dinner and then awards. I'll get that info out to staff to be able to do nomination.
Did you say May 1st?
May 1st is a
Okay.
Thursday night, and it's a non-competitive night with other events going on in the district before all the craziness happens like May.
All right. Attached are the school department reports. If you have any specific questions for the principals, please email them directly. We now have, I'm gonna leave 10, we can talk about dual language immersion for first grade for about 10 minutes. I'm sorry. I'm gonna leave here in a minute. So Superintendent, you wanna give us an update of where we're at
Sure.
with that?
So, dual language immersion, is a program supported by Utah. I believe one of the principals, I'm pretty sure it was Michelle, yeah, that brought it to my attention. So teaching Spanish has always been a goal and a dream of mine, K-12. Because 3 years of high school Spanish is not near enough. So I was made aware of the dual language program. I applied for a grant. It was approved within 20 minutes of submitting. And so, where we're at right now is, we're working with the state. Ophelia Wade, is our contact. The state provides, funding for materials and curriculum. They help vet the Spanish teacher. They actually go to foreign countries such as Mexico, Peru, Spain, and vet and bring them for us to interview. And so we have the capacity at HMK, should we decide to proceed with this, to implement the dual immersion program. Jeremy is working with some community members that are embedded in the Hispanic community to garner some support. So we would essentially have two classes, one that would be English all day, one that would be Spanish all day, and the kids would flip-flop. And the ultimate goal here is that our kids are truly bilingual. They don't just learn a second language, but they actually are bilingual. And so we're in the process of investigating that. I think our next step is to put together a field trip to go visit a dual language immersion campus so that we can see what that looks like. These students typically score higher than most of your other students because they're being taught in two languages and they get to think in two languages and so we're moving along with that. And as we have talked about before, the board is, we're keeping the board informed so that they can make the final decision once we get to that point. As far as cost goes, because we're going to absorb the teachers in first grade, and the state is providing funding for curriculum and materials. The cost, we don't have an exact amount, but it should be fairly minimal because we'll need the teachers anyway. The idea, best case scenario is that it goes from first to ninth. So every year we would continue to add if we were able to, if we had the students and we had the slots. No teacher will ever lose their job because of the program. We want to make that real clear. And so we're moving forward, gathering information and I'm open for questions.
Mike, I have a question. Is this the standard dual immersion program where math and language arts is taught in English and then the science, all history, that sort of thing is taught in Spanish? Is that the approach you're thinking?
I do not know the answer to that question.
Okay.
What,
Okay.
with your daughter is going through the Mandarin Chinese, so what is your experience with that?
So as a parent, my daughter, she completed the Mandarin Chinese dual immersion program and graduated with her associate language degree in high school through the University of Utah. As a first grader, what they did now, ours would be slightly different because it's two-way. She was in a one-way dual immersion, which groups students who aren't native speakers at all into two cohorts, and then they flipped in the day. And so at least our experience was she was taught math, science, social studies, and reading in Mandarin Chinese starting in first grade. And then she would flip to the English side and she would have those same instructions, that same instruction in English. And so every day would be all of that in Chinese and then all of that in English. And so she learned to read, write, understand culture, lots of different aspects of the Chinese language. And that continued in that manner up until middle school when she had just two classes that were immersed in Chinese. And then she prepared to take the AP Chinese language exam for her 9th grade year before the end of 8th grade. And all students that pass that AP exam, which they now have a really high rate, she's 21, so it's been a while since Utah's been doing this. So if they pass, then they proceed to take a what do they call them? Concurrent enrollment course through the university and receive credit as a high school student for their language courses.
The programs that I'm familiar with in our county that I came from in Virginia, they're a dual immersion program in the elementary level. I don't know what it was like after that, but it was, part of the day was spent with the science and history in that language, Spanish. And then the other part of the day was in English. That's what I'm familiar with.
I was able to speak with Ophelia last week and was very impressed with her as a leader. They've been doing this program for 15 years in Utah. It is an exemplary program in the nation and internationally. I was curious about attrition and about that angle. And she said there's never been any chaos created by this program in districts. At the elementary level, we look at teachers come in and out each year, teachers switch grades each year. We're only switching one teacher in and out. So there's never been, in her experience, any issues in terms of that. I look at this as a great addition for our district because it also in addition to giving credence to language speakers, our Latino students who we worry about having, you know, on the playground, we're having students clustered by language and background. That kind of stuff shifts. The other thing that this does is it creates for our higher achieving interested parents and our wealthier parents. It is a program that in the state and in the nation is one of the best. It's a very high achieving program in Utah and is used as a model across the United States. And then those students who are, you know, wealthier students, whose parents are, you know, how's the district? What's going on? What's exciting? This is a program that it can be a feather in our cap in that way as well. So it was really intriguing talking to her and exciting. So that's my 2 cents.
One of the questions we were gonna see if, there are other districts our size, you were gonna talk to Ophelia.
So I have been playing phone tag and sharing emails with Ophelia. She's actually in Spain right now. And I have not had anybody currently respond as to what the smaller districts are doing. I think what Jeremy shared, for the most part, I would agree with. I do think when you look at a smaller district, you have economy of scales. And anybody who has staffed any school for any position knows, no matter what you do, there's chaos when you start looking at moving grades around. I mean, it does happen and it's regular, but it is stressful. And my concerns here, and you know, like I said, Ophelia is back on the 6th and we're meeting. There's no debt. I don't disagree with anybody. It's a great opportunity and a great program. Are we at a spot where we are able to implement it properly? And we have seen poor implementation really harm this district. And that's my concern. What the lift is, have we thought it out long enough? You know, I mean, I'm assuming there would be community buy-in, but have we looked at community buy-in? And then just the state sustainability, not knowing what exactly that is. And then again, I think you saw a classic example here in public comment is we have other areas that are in dire need of, you know, administrative support, district level administrative support, where we have some complications. And I think it's fair to say, you know, they're not running as smoothly as we would like. And so is this one more thing to add when we're struggling in other areas? I think there's a lot to be said about there's never going to be an ideal time. And I don't disagree with that comment. There's likely never going to be an ideal time. I don't know. These are just the thoughts that are coming as I look at it. I'm hoping to get a lot of those cleared up when I have that conversation on the 6th with some of the back end questions. I do echo what Jeremy said. It's a very respected program, statewide model. But that's my thoughts.
So I have go ahead, sorry.
Laura Lee, go ahead.
Yeah, so I had a comment that I have seen in schools. I don't know if the Utah program has different options, and I guess that's something that Mike will be looking into, or you all. But another successful program I've seen is where you have, and this is at the elementary level, where you will have a Spanish teacher come, you whittle out like a 30 to 40 minute block of time, just like you would with science and PE and everything else, where this particular Spanish teacher would come into the classrooms and do a lesson. And that's like twice a week. It's not quite the immersion program that you're talking about, but it is another way of getting Spanish into all the classrooms. Anyway, just want to throw that out.
Thank you.
Michelle, was the school, the Mandarin school, was it the entire school, or were there some classes that kids were doing Mandarin, or was it all of the kids that went to that school? It was dual immersion for everybody.
Yeah, so she was in the very first year of the elementary school when she started. So she started the first cohort of that school because they had adopted it.
I see.
And then it grew with her.
So first grade and then.
And
they
so
had two-
every child after her
Yeah.
also,
Okay.
also would have
Yeah.
had the opportunity to go through it. And there are like weird little rules, like if your sibling started in it, and you wanted your other siblings to join, like they came first priority. And so there was like lots of little
But
nuances to the
Every
program.
year that the first graders came in, all of them were doing Mandarin. Parents, it wasn't like there were, like, some of the classes were just English only.
No, there were.
Oh, there
Yes,
were? Oh.
definitely. Yeah,
Oh.
so there were 4 teachers in
Oh.
the first grade. There was a Mandarin speaking
Mm-hmm.
immersion class. There was a teacher who worked directly with
that
her.
one. Mhm.
And that was the English side for that group of students. And then there were 2 just regular first grade teachers.
So I just wonder if there was like, was it very competitive? Like,
Yes, they
if
had to have
if
a
you didn't
lottery.
get into Mandarin,
Yes.
your kid didn't get in, it was like.
Yes, they had to have a lottery
Yeah.
because what happens is that once you start as a non-native speaker, you can't enter in second and you can't enter in
Yeah.
third. You have to start in first. Now, that wasn't true for native speakers, because she had like classmates that moved from like Hong Kong, and then they were able to join in like third and fifth because they spoke Mandarin. So that it was different for students that came in speaking the language than it was for students that were learning the bilingual piece.
Okay, I'm gonna have to stop this
All right.
conversation. Apologize. All right, we can talk advanced planning. If you have any questions about that, yeah. So I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Is there a second?
My second.
Kathy Williams makes a motion and Jenna Woodbury seconds to adjourn. We are adjourned at 4:24.
I'll just real quick, and I'll be right back.
Right, I'm gonna head out. Thank you.